Today we're talking about the Tokina Cinema zoom lenses, specifically the 11-20 and the 50-135 t2.9. But first, if you're new to the channel, my name is Anson, and on this channel we talk about filmmaking, specifically budget gear, tutorials, and a behind the scenes look at the projects that I'm working on. So if that's something you're into, consider subscribing. Before I get too far into it, I do want to thank Tokina for sending me these to test. And as always, Tokina is not asking me to say anything specifically about these lenses, and so whatever I say is going to be my full and honest opinion. Now, something else I do want to mention is my channel does focus around budget camera gear, but I am going to be bringing you guys some cinema lenses, both cinema zooms and cinema primes. Now, these are going to be a little bit more expensive, and so I may not encourage you to necessarily buy these lenses if you're an indie filmmaker, but if you do have a film or project that has a little bit larger of a budget, these may be good lenses to look into renting. And so I do feel like they have a space on this channel to talk about for some of these bigger projects you may work on where they may be beneficial. And so with that being said, as I said before, we're breaking down the 11-20mm and the 50-135mm, and as always, we're going to talk about them by image quality, build quality, and my overall thoughts / who I think could be useful for. And let's start with image quality. So the image of these lenses is something I was really excited to see and test out. I've heard so many people talking about these lenses and how great they think they are and how much character is in these lenses. And I'd have to say that I agree. I really appreciate how natural these lenses feel. They do a great job of not being too oversaturated or even for that matter too sharp. Everything seems very natural, and for filmmakers, a lot of times that may be something you're looking for. It honestly reminds me of like a vintage lens, but more like a sharp vintage lens. And so the overall colors and the balance of sharpness coming from these lenses was something I was immediately impressed with. Now, they may not be as fast aperture-wise as my cine zooms from Sigma, but maybe where they don't have that extra stop of light, they definitely make up in focal range. One thing I do appreciate about 11-20 is you do have a very wide focal range, almost like an ultra wide at some points, and the 50-135 does also offer you more telephoto range. That 50-135, like that's an impressive range. Now, Tokina is putting out a 25-75, which when that is launched, and that should launch later this year, that should honestly round out this entire zoom range. And so you could effectively buy all three of those lenses and get a really, really amazing focal range. Now, to be a little bit nitpicking, one thing that did bother me is that the 50-135 does not have great minimum focusing distance. But honestly, that's kind of nitpicking because a lot of telephoto lenses don't have great minimum focusing distance. But overall, the image that comes from these lenses is very natural, has a great balance of sharpness. It's not too like digital sharp or anything like that. It has very natural colors, and so you can get a very pleasing image from these lenses. And so the question becomes, did it live up to my expectation around what I've been hearing about these lenses? And I would absolutely say that it did. And so with that, let's talk about build quality. Now, with cinema lenses, something to keep in mind is you are going to pay a little bit more of a premium price for cinema lenses because of the overall housing. You are going to have a physical gear for your aperture, for your zoom ring, as well as your focusing ring. The focus throw on these lenses is a nice and long 300-degree focus throw, and so this can be really great to fine-tune your focusing point, having that 300-degree focus throw. These are really compact cinema lenses. Now, that can be good or bad. Some people, like myself, do appreciate bigger cinema lenses because when you have a bigger lens with a bigger rig, it can get rid of some of those micro jitters. And with the 50-135, having it more compact may be a disadvantage at times. I found it was really hard to keep things steady when I was doing handheld shots because I had this telephoto lens that was not really heavy, and so my micro jitters were way more pronounced than they would be with maybe some of my bigger cinema lenses at the telephoto range. But again, that's personal preference, and so they are compact, so depending on how you film and what you prefer, they're really great for gimbal scenarios because they're compact. But if you do prefer to film handheld, you may get a little bit more micro jitters with using these lenses versus some of the bigger lenses that are out there. So that's something to consider if you do prefer filming handheld. And so between image quality, build quality, what are my overall thoughts and who would I recommend these for? As I said before, these are a little bit more expensive lenses if you're in the indie filmmaking kind of low budget category, but these may be good lenses to rent if you are doing a bigger project with a bigger budget. And so with that being said, if you are looking at making a film with a more natural feel, maybe that kind of vintage vibe, but also have a little bit of sharpness to it. I think that would be perfect for these lenses. And with them being zoom lenses, you may be able to pick up these 2 lenses, potentially 3 lenses with a new one that's coming out, rather than picking up a whole prime set. And so if you are looking at that more natural, maybe more vintage vibe for your next film, you want that convenience of a zoom range, maybe a wide angle zoom, as well as a little bit more telephoto zoom, these would absolutely be great lenses to check out. And so that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a like. And if you're digging the overall content from the channel, consider subscribing. Go and find your journey. Go embrace life. Stay safe, be happy, support each other. Wash those hands, and I'll see you here next time. Peace. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick up on this, but I have this weird tan line going on right here. This is all from filming this week. I had a hat on backwards, and now I have this weird sunburn, and I think my chest is burned a little bit, so the things I do for this channel, all for you, Tokina. Let's please work together again. Cut.